Here we're going to introduce to you the simple truth why SGO number 1, or Spartamax Gun Oil, works as good as it does. We're going to compare it with some graphics of the advantage of a proper high-performance bio-based gun oil from Spartamax versus the standard CLP type petroleum products used today. The goal for performance improvement is to have the AR-15 or the M4 work as efficiently as it needs to operate with the cleanest contamination-free environment possible. This is achieved by reducing the amount of carbon and contaminants within or upon the weapon metal surfaces. This takes place when increased barrel bore force and efficiency pushes the majority of carbon and contaminants out of the muzzle. That's what we want, allowing cleaner gases to come back into the bolt carrier group and fire chamber. Further, when the wet Spartamax gun oil, which is biosolvents and aerospace oils, comes in contact with a carbon, the Spartamax gun oil disperses and holds the carbon in wet suspension, allowing the component surfaces to function properly until the weapon cleanup. Now, what happens normally with a regular CLP is this. If the weapon continues to work with a current CLP type product, which is a variety of chemistries out there, usually as a solvent, and then you use an oil, and then you have the oil left over. The reason they don't want you to have a tremendous amount of oil within certain areas is because it actually works against the solvent and attracts the carbon. After the oil becomes over 250 degrees, comes into a sulfurized state, so you have that sulfurized hard varnish state along with the carbon, and it just embeds it with, well, quite honestly, a mucky mess. It's very hard to clean. Then the barrel bore, gas tube, carrier bolt assembly group, along with the fire chamber areas, works harder. And in time, people just give up, and it seizes up and stops working. Now, to further illustrate this, within the AR-15, here's a close-up of the carrier bolt group function inside of the M4 AR-15 platform. What you will see is the top is the tube where the gases come through, then you have the key, then you have the carrier bolt assembly, then you have the rotate bolt, and then the drop fire pin, and then the lugs. When these areas start to become full of carbon, full of contaminants, it's very hard for the weapon to function efficiently. Furthermore, when you have a machine gun platform, such as the 245, 308, etc., this multiplies much faster. You see, the theory for performance improvement and what we're trying to achieve is this. You want a specifically designed formulation that will perform many tasks at the same time. Now, this would include, number one, what we call powder management. You see, you want a product that has over 4 times the solvent power of acetone working within the weapon. You see, as soon as the carbon powder or contaminant hits or comes in contact with the wet Spartamax gun oils, the carbon immediately disperses and is held in suspension within a high-temp biosolvent and aerospace oils until it's later wiped away, preventing such carbon powder from becoming a varnish or solid particle upon the component surfaces, so that the drop fire pin, the rotate bolt compression, the rotate bolt, the assembly inside, the trigger, the slides, and everything, we want them to function properly. That's what they're here to do. And that's what you want to have happen. Well, how does that happen? Well, number 2, you want to be able to also have a proprietary chemistry. You see, during the performance of the weapon with heat and friction, a special dri-plate formulation becomes embedded within the metal surfaces. Now, according to military specifications, this does not include graphite, moly, or Teflon. Say, why is that? Well, graphite and moly become one with the carbon, and it makes the surfaces actually more contaminated and dirty inside of the barrel. Even though it's a little slipperier, it contaminates it more. Well, say, Clayton, well, sir, I've heard about Teflon. What's that do? Well, Teflon has some friction reducing capabilities, but it holds heat, and above 500 degrees becomes a carcinogenic. In other words, it's cancer causing. So let's continue on. So what we want to do is to have a dry plate formula to become embedded within the metal pores. You see, this greatly helps to reduce and prevent the carbon nitrites, along with other formulations embedded, from forming upon the metal surfaces within the barrel bore and rifling area. And this also would include the gas port, the gas tube, causing increased amounts of carbon and contamination to blow out the muzzle. See, it will blow out the muzzle. Not all of it, but let's say, a good 80% of it as compared to before. You see, less carbon in the barrel bore and rifling helps reduce and prevent the attraction for copper and lead surface attachments, which then creates fouling. And as an accident benefit, has less cleaning after the weapon use. B, when all this takes place, you see you have lower resistance and friction within the barrel, and it allows the projectile or the billet to increase velocity speed up to 5%. Now, on a standard AR-15 M4 platform that's normally designed for 2,900 feet per second, we're looking at another, 200 feet per second or something like that, closer to 31 to 3,200. Now, what this shows is barrel bore efficiency, which will improve targeting along with smoother operation of the carrier bolt assembly. Now, here's a further illustration. We want the bullet to go out, and then the chemistry will embed into the barrel bore, and then as it increases the barrel efficiency, more contamination will be going out the muzzle. Now see, with improved fire and bullet efficiency, it pushes out more carbon contaminants out the barrel end. And you notice this out the muzzle area, it just push out like a cone. D, you see less carbon on the metal surfaces will lower the barrel bore operation temperatures, about 10%. Now, more carbon and contaminants blowing out the muzzle end with a bullet is less carbon and contaminants returning back through the gas tube, providing cleaner air and improved overall performance of the carrier bolt assembly. And I said, well, I've got AK-47. Well, it would help in any gas chamber type compression requirement. And this also has applications to handguns and other weapons equally as well. So, in conclusion, with our previous AR-15 300 round test, it proved that this product actually performs to the Department of Defense required military specifications for a multiple task role for a clean, lube, and protect product, and does everything stated on the label. It's bio-based, safe and clean, solvent cleaning and lube, bearable or internal parts, resists nitrites and carbon, reduces friction and static, and is extended rust protection. Spartamax Gun Oil is grown and with the bio-based chemistries, and it's made with pride for our fighting men and women right here in the USA. So that's the end of this presentation for the Spartamax Gun Oil versus the standard CLP product concerning the simple truth while SGO #1 works as good as it does. Thank you for our time together, and look forward to seeing you at some of our other presentations. Bye now.